recording. And yes, gentlemen, I have gone and spoken to them. They are putting these up online at the moment. They are actually preparing a separate area for it to go through. It's taking a little bit longer than I expected. I was hoping that they would have everything up and done today, but I've also had some internet issues on my side, which meant that going and uploading some of these files has taken longer than expected. So, yep, it will be done. I am hoping by tomorrow, and I hope I hope at the end of tomorrow I will be able to go send you a link and go say, ta-da! There you go. Everyone gets the link. You can go back and view exactly what's going on and all the rest of it. Look, if you guys are really desperate if there is something that you just want to go back and review, I can make a plan to share it with you, or at least the raw file. We'll see where we go with that. So, yeah, let me know. All right. Okay. So now I have your undivided attention. Let's actually get back, and you're seeing my screen at the moment. Let's actually get back and just have a look at exactly what we're going to go and what we're going to cover today. And I know I've kind of split things a bit between different sessions. We have gone and finished off with the store setup yesterday, which was in transit, general warehouse, and retail. There is one last thing I do want to go and show you on this, because it is quite important. It's an update that we've done over there. But then, and we've also gone to merchandise hierarchy, a little bit into item matrix, barcode masks, and things like this, and including big things like business partners. We also have covered tax conditions set up, so we are actually a little bit ahead of the curve in some ways, so we're about where we should be. So we should be going and heading on over here to this particular section. Moving on. So quickly is one of the things I do want to just go quickly talk about is locations. Now, locations are something that we go and that we do deal with quite a bit in. We are dealing with more and more in iVend, and there's a reason that we do it. Okay, application will now restart. Yay! Okay, right. Restart your IIS. By the way, that is also a very good. That little message also does come up and does suggest something very well, which is if you are using APIs, always restart your IIS. And in fact, speaking of that, I don't know. Hands up. How's this for an early morning question? Hands up. How many of you have dealt with or know what IIS is? Okay, we're getting some. Okay, I'm getting like not that many actually. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm just going to put your hands down for the moment. Just while I am doing that, guys, please remember questions are welcome. To type them in the question box, send them along to me, and I will get back to you with them and try and answer them as succinctly and quickly as possible. Even if it is the worst that can happen is I'll say I'll get back to you, or I'll get to that in a minute. So. All right, so before I even dive into Management Console, IIS is, okay, I'm still getting the hands up popping up over here. Thanks, Chapili. Yeah, Chapili, I would expect you to go know where IIS is, yeah. So if you come along over here to your Windows Start button, we go IIS, and provided that your machine's a little bit quicker than mine, it's not running quite so many things, you'll actually see it does go and bring up, come on. Okay, IIS. And of course, my machine is refusing to go and respond normally to this. We should actually be it should actually be going and bringing up the actual. I think this is because it's stuck. There we go. IIS. Now there we go. Internet Information Services Manager. Okay, so all right, we go and we open this up. This over here. By the way, guys, this is also the way you go and you get the API address. So you'll also see that over here a lot of different things go and use this. I know that certain reporting tools that you install on here will go and end up using IIS. So you see over here, I mean, I've got things like there is actually a nav client on here. So yeah, nav guys, you know, you can go all let out a big nav cry of solidarity. As well over here, this is where you do go and you get things like your iVend API. And the nice thing is that right at the end over here, I've got a thing where I can go browse, so which should actually go and have it pop up over here if I've got this right. And provided I haven't done anything else with my machine, let's see, does it work? Woohoo! Surprise! There you go. It actually goes and it loads up. And you'll see it actually brings it up for localhost 8642. I normally use the 8642 one because it is slightly more secure. You'll actually see that it's HTTPS, which is more secure than normal HTTP. Once again, guys, for those of you who are not used to retail, we are dealing with a distributed network here. You've got multiple points. Oops, pardon. We've got multiple points where people can get in, where people can go and have opportunity, and we really want to avoid that. Now, once this is brought up, you can actually go along to iVend and if I'm going to open up that, and that will be the actual address of the actual API. It's please remember to replace the local host if you're with any other machine. So you can put the IP address, you can put the machine name. Depending on how much further you go with the actual setup, you can change that quite a bit to go and actually say what the actual address is. And once you've done that, you can actually, then you can go connect through. This is one of the things that makes the APIs really, 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 really handy, beyond the fact that they are actually pretty quick. So there we go. So yeah, do not use this one. I know it's got the little WSDL thing at the end. The WSDL is not the correct one. The actual address that you're looking for is up here, this one. You'll see if I copied it and opened it, you will go see it goes and opens up in a, you will see it goes and opens up in a separate, well, it's actually got the HTTPS address on it over there. Now, okay, so a little bit of a detour there, but one that's very important because I do get asked a lot, where do I get the API address from? It's not immediately obvious, and that's where you get it from. So congratulations. So let's go back over here, and now let's get back onto track with locations. So I'm going to go over here, I'm going to log in, and on that note, I should probably actually log out of my point of sale because I'm going to shut down terminal because otherwise we're going to be in trouble. You'll see it when I open up my management console, it comes up with all of my license entitlements. This should only happen for the main, for user one. If you have any more users in here, you shouldn't get this thing popping up every time you open up management console because, yeah, what's the point of going and having it open for the filing clerk or whatever it is. So over here, I've now gone and enabled my locations. If I go down to retail config, and this over here, I then come to warehouse, the avenues, and you'll see over here, I've actually got a checkbox to go say enable locations. Once I've done this, I can actually start to go split up the everything that happens in here into different locations. So for instance, I can go and have a default location, right, which is just a default location. I can then also have a default sales location, a default refund location, default fulfillment, goods receipt, stock transfer, goods issue, goods return location. I am not stuck with just these locations. I can have more locations than this in a warehouse. So this is just if I want to use a default location. That's it. And for actual location itself, if I go and drill down into it, you'll see I don't have any at the moment. Well, it's not allowing me to create from here, but if I go over here and we go new, you'll see I can set what I can do in a location. So if I go and I say that this location is default, and I hope that you name them more creatively than I am at the moment, I then have to go and assign it to a warehouse right there, which yeah, I need to go complete the setup on the I need to go tell it I can use locations, and then I need to go set these up. Then I can go say, is this the default location for that warehouse? I can also say what I can do at this location. Can I do sales? Can I do refunds? Can I do fulfillments? Can I do goods receipts, stock transfers, goods issues, goods returns? I can also freeze a location. And that's quite deliberate because when you freeze a location, you can load stock into it, freeze it, and then nobody can do anything with the stock. This is particularly handy for things like display models that you sometimes get. Because to be very honest, guys, I have seen it where people just, yeah, where salespeople, some of the salespeople I've met out there, quite frankly, they would sell their own mother's hip bones for a profit if they thought they could get away with it. But having said that, you know, it is handy to just have a point at which you can go say, no more, no. There's a limit at what you're meant to be selling and what you are selling. So with that over there, it's quite nice to just have it frozen. Means that doesn't mean it bursts out into song and dance. It does mean it does mean, however, that it keeps the stock where it's meant to be. Okay, so that's locations, and that was a very, very last quick thing that I wanted to go show you guys over there. Next up, we are just going to quickly go across and have a look at, we had a look at merchandise hierarchy. Next one up is barcode mask. And for that, we come across over here, we go to inventory, and we go to barcode mask. Now, this is pretty simple over here with this. The entire idea is that I'm going to go to barcode mask. There we go. Let's make it simple. Start Sentinel and what type of mask it is. Now, to explain what a barcode mask is, it's actually a relatively simple thing. And once again, I'm going to, once again with the analogies, okay, so you go to your fruit and veg section of your supermarket, and normally over there they'll have a guy with a weigh scale. And you go and you pick up, you go and you get your cellophane bag, you load in a batch of tomatoes into your bag and you hand it across to the guy weighs it, prints out a sticker, and then sticks it on there. Now, on that sticker, if you actually have a look at it, you'll see it's got, you know, it's a typical label. It's got your what it is, the price, the quantity, the weight in this it generally is. Yeah, the quantity and generally the price. Yeah, I think I covered that one as well. But the big thing is that it's also got the barcode. Now, the barcode in there actually contains all that information. The name, the item code, obviously, the actual the code, the price, the quantity, as well as it can also, as with us, you can also go and have things like the serial or batch number or the UAM code or skip characters. And the entire idea behind this is that you can have a printout over there at that scale. You can then also have it, that just means that instead of going and having to retype in everything when you get to the actual, when you get to the till, you just scan the code, it goes and it reads everything, so it'll read like, let's go say product barcode, the next one on it might be the quantity, and then the next one on there will be the, say, price, and then together you go and you say this might have a length of 10, this might have a length of, that might, well, depending on how big it is, you know, it might have a length of, say, 100, or, well, not 100, let's not do 100. That is the length of characters now. So that might have a length of, say, 5 is reasonable. And this over here is a price, and that might have a length of, let's go, say, 4. Not 41, 4. There we go. Okay, you can also deal with what's termed factors. And this just goes and determines where the decimal point is. So you can go and, so with this, you can actually change where your decimal point sits in the system. The entire idea behind it is that it will go, is that with this decimal point, you can actually move, you can actually go say, so to give you an example, is it 1 dot, well, I can't do 1.00, is it, okay, so is it 1.00, or how far along exactly does the decimal point move? You can also put in what's called a start sentinel. A start sentinel might be a dash, for instance, or just something to go and indicate that this is the start of the barcode. You've got 2 different types. You've got fixed length, and you see with fixed, if I switch it to delimiter, it just goes, I lose that one field there. So right there, I lose the length field, whereas with delimiter, it's just, okay, it's just waiting for the intermediate code for the delimiter character to go and say, okay, this first part, code, this second part, price, this third part, quantity. Questions? For barcode value type, can you have more options, or is it limited to the ones in the system? Okay, so your barcode, when you say okay, so Willem, what sort of barcode are you talking about here? Are you talking about the actual display barcode? Because remember, you can actually have multiple barcodes that are attached through your UOMs, your display barcode. Okay, all right, so I'm actually going to get to what barcodes we can display in the system in a second when we get to our label writer. And you'll actually see that we go and we cover most types of barcodes. So, you should be able to go display whatever type of barcode you want or whatever format of barcode you want. For the value types over here, you're pretty much just limited to the ones that you've got. Well, you're limited to the ones you've got here for the barcode mask setup. There are other things that you can put in as barcodes. That's just something that we can go and have, but I'll show you that in a second with our label writer. So, next one up, can we run an export, import, and order to add specific barcode to multiple products? Yes. Yeah, you can. That is one of the, yeah, Jean, you can do that. That's one of the nice things about iVend. You can, even though we go and we pull most of the stuff in from, we pull a lot of stuff in from our ERP partners. We actually, that's the whole reason that we have the imports and export functionality, is because the big problem is that a lot of the time, it's not, the ERP doesn't necessarily have everything you want. Barcodes being one of them. As well as things like age restrictions. I mean, most ERPs I know do not have, for instance, an age restriction thing that you can go say, well, you can't really sell cigarettes to minors, because that's not a case that you'd normally find an ERP actually deals with. But once again, yeah, we can do that. That's not a problem. Okay, so that's barcode mask setup over there. Next up, let me just go check my little training plan over here. We're going to quickly go across to our label designer. And that's over here in reports. And now we actually get to the designers and reporting sides of iVend. And once again, we're going to come back to Query Builder, Report Designer, Dashboard Designer in later sessions. But over here, we've got the create label report, and we've got a batch of reports that the system does come with, that we have tested with. Once again, the label printers, if I remember correctly, there are a set of label printers that we have dealt with before. Let me just go and get that open. So we do actually have a set of label report printers that we have worked with before. Zebra obviously is very common, but there are others. There are some pretty specific things that you have to deal with when you're doing label report printers, and but fortunately we actually have this built into the actual system itself, so we can actually go and open this up. And let's go over here. Okay, in this particular case, this is a particularly small one, so I'm just going to go zoom in a little bit. There we go. So zoom. We have a barcode that's over here. You can type there. To go just start off with the top code description. So here's your code, there's your description, your width, your height, labels per row. So how many labels do you have on the actual sheet? There is actually, you can actually set this up to print out labels on an A4 piece of paper. That's also possible. You've also got, yeah, there you go, there's your is continuous checkbox. So if it is a continuous label printer, you can use that. The other one is the gap length and the label's horizontal gap length, because that does change. And trust me guys, I know I've struggled with label printers and designers before, is that the actual where the label sits on the actual piece of paper actually moves, and it's and one day and really they can move by up to 3 or 4 millimeters, and you wouldn't think it's that big, but if you're looking, if you really wanted to go print out consistently, it's an absolute pain in the rear. Having said that, this does actually go and try and cater for that as much as possible. If you guys have worked with label designing before, 9 times out of 10 I find people have gone with Seagull Scientific Bartender. This works in much the same way. If you've used it, if you used that before, you'll be able to use this. This is once again, this is simpler, but then again, you don't need to do really the amount of stuff that we don't need to that we need to do is much less than what Seagull Scientific is. Seagull Scientific seems to need to cater for everything. This over here is strictly for things like items and for shelf label printing. Some of the tools that you got, cut, copy, paste, yeah, you can actually go and change your, we do have backwards and forwards over there, so you can go and reverse your changes if you need to. You can also do things, add text, add pictures into here, yes, obviously add barcodes, circles, squares, lines, move things forwards, move things to the back, all the rest of it. And in here, and this is one of the things I do want to actually go show you, is if I go and I scroll down, and you see I've got a lot of stuff in here, guys. There's A lot of things I can change. Yes, I'm still scrolling. Yes, I'm still going. And by the time we actually get down to the one I'm looking for, which is symbology, you can actually go and change this. You can change this in a number of ways. We have the barcode libraries already built into here. This is not a case where you need to go buy, I don't know, Hansen code or Deutsche Post or Data Matrix or whatever it is. It's already in here. You just go and you select it and you carry on. And I mean, it's things like we already have the QR codes that are in here. I'm trying to go find those at the moment, but as you can see, just scrolling through these things, there you go, GS1 QR code. So there it's switched it to a QR code. Right, there you go, Hansen code, Deutsche Post, bezel, you know, it's a stack of these codes that are here. You can go in, you can change these things, you can go and adjust these things to how exactly you want it. You can add in certain fields, data fields, what they are, what they have, what appears. Most of your item fields appear in here, as well as your user-defined fields. If you do have user-defined fields in the system connected to the items, then it will actually go and appear over here, and you can select them and put them on here. I'm not actually going to spend a heck of a lot of time on this because, guys, I know from experience with report writing, you never know what you need to know about report writing until you actually get down and you actually write the report for it. It's that simple. If you want to know how to work it, get in, get your hands dirty. I'll try and help you if you go and if you want to go and know more or how to do something or what you can or can't do. Have a look in here. Have a look on the CKP. The CKP will be able to help you on this. I think there is actually a section on report writing in there. Well, report writing and label writing in there. So that is available. This is something that you can go set up and have a look at on your own time by yourself. All right, so now that we've covered that, the other thing I do want to point out is that we do also have what's called item label printing. So this is if you want to go and automatically print out a set of labels for, you get a whole batch of items in, you just go add product, search, add a specific product, and you can go say how many you want to print. Does it need to have serial batch numbers associated? You can select 4 specific serial batch numbers, price, weight, all the rest of it. You can go put that in, and you can also select what sort of barcodes you want, any alternate UPC codes that are there. You can have that, and you can have that print out. So when something's received, or if there's a price change, you can actually have that updated, and you can do that with our smart product selection. Which will actually go and show, which goes and records the date that the labels were printed. Then if you have a price change, it then goes and shows you which labels can be printed. It then goes and shows you the labels that can be printed, that need to be printed since that last price change. So it actually goes and keeps that there in the system. It makes it very, very handy, very easy to go and print out those changes when you need it. Okay, wow, we're screaming through these things this morning. Okay, next up is, we're headed across to our business partners. So let's just go and have a look over there. Now, business partners, this is, excuse me, now, business partners, this is what we call our customers and our vendors. A little bit of a hold. The SAP guys are going, oh, well, I know what a business partner is, but yeah. Okay, customers, vendors, debtors, creditors, in some systems they're called, but customers, vendors, customer suppliers is the other one that pops up. That's par for the course. That's what's here. I'm just going to go through and search, and one of the ones I mentioned is cash, the cash customer that does pop up. That is used by everyone, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one because it is the cash customer. You'll see over here there's not very much in the cash customer setup. It's not meant to be very honest. There is actually a lot more that does get it's just there as a stand-in for your people who do your purchasing. If you go once again, we have this little drill down over here for a dashboard that is going to take a second and open up. And you'll see over here that I haven't done very many transactions for the cash customer, so it's not showing very much information. Okay. Next up, okay, I am just going to go along to another specific customer. This is a customer who's actually loaded in the, who is actually loaded up. We have his information. This is Edward. All right there. Everyone say hi, Edward. Right there. I can't hear you. Yes, yes, yes. I'm having too much fun. Okay, so we have a batch of column. Look, this information that's available over here is also available at the POS. I'm just going to reopen my POS, seeing I had it closed earlier for the locations. Yes, and you can see over here I've got my database selection on. There you go. Do Acme Retail. Acme. Right there. Right there. For all of your product shopping needs, particularly if you've got to catch that Roadrunner. So, quite frankly, I'm surprised they don't have a customer in here called Wile E. Coyote. Okay, so, and the one thing I want to show you up here, and that's also, and I'm going to try and start transitioning across to the actual point of sale because, yes, I know we've been going and doing everything over here, and this is the way iVend's built, is that we are built really around the setups of the system. This is, which is this. We try and keep the complexity out the front end because really the front over here should just be for sales. You shouldn't have, and nobody should, anybody operating the point of sale shouldn't really have to really think too hard about how to do something because inevitably things go wrong then. But so one of the things that we have built in to just make it simple is over here at the bottom, it's the scan bar, which is one of the actual central inputs into the point of sale. As I'm sure you guys know, if you've been to any shop, you'll see hardly anybody types anything into POS anymore. They go and they scan it, and it's all just scanned. So this over here, I'm going to go type in Edward, and you'll see it's now changed the name over there to Edward Robinson. If, for instance, I typed in John, it would go do a search through. Remember, the scan bar's got about, they say 13 in the help. I know they've increased it to like 17 different things that it actually scans through, including things like email addresses and phone numbers. So you enter in a phone number, it will go search for a phone number. So over here, searched for John, came up with 2 Johns, a Johnny and a James. Actually, I know the James is James Johnson. So if we go view over there, you'll see James Johnson. So I did a part search on his last name. Anyway, enough of that. Back to here. You can go see I've brought up Edward Robinson. And if I go view, you'll see that I have much the same screen that I have in the management console. In fact, it's exactly the same screen. It's not much the same. It's exactly the same. There's no 2 ways around it. That means that I can actually make adjustments, like I showed you yesterday with the yes, and I am going to start going and calling back to some of the things we have done before. Like I showed you yesterday, you can go do things, right-click, change the layout. Once you've changed the layout, you can then go and start to remove things from here, because the big thing about a lot of these fields is, particularly at the front end, the little cashier opens this up and just gets overwhelmed by data. I mean, they don't need to know customer type and sales tax and is tax free and tax is exempt. They don't need to know that. You can hide it. They just have the basic stuff and that they need, and that's it. And we have a question. Can we see the list of entities included in the search field for POS? Yes, you can. It's actually very simple, and once again, say it with me all together now. Control F1 brings the help. And over here we have barcode resolution order. You see, this one only goes up to 13, but I do know that in the latest version, if you read the release notes, they've added in email and they've added in phone number to this. So there are more than just this. This is exactly how it goes through. So it starts off UPC code and product master data. So we actually search for the UPC code first. We don't search for product ID first, UPC. Right there, multiple UPC, barcode masking, product ID, serial, batch, part matched with part of a number or part of a code in the customer catalog, customer code, security user code, product description, right there. So product description, customer first name, last name, transaction ID, mobile phone, email address, and there's 2 or 3 others that I'm forgetting at the moment. So yeah, that's where it is at the moment. If you guys are taking screenshots, please remember, Control F1, right there, you'll get the entire thing. It will be updated with exactly what you want. So we're over here with the customer, and you'll see that we actually include a ludicrous amount of information in. Salutation, title, first name, last name, middle name, nickname, customer group, company name, is tax exempt is tax-free. Sales tax code, so we're defining sales tax all the way down to the customer. A customer type, which is just company or private. I mean, that's that's up to you exactly how you want to deal with that. Tax number, gender, and can order items, gender. Yeah, guys, gender over here, it is actually a field you can type in. So, you know, if I see Facebook's now got like 50 different genders, which, yeah, you know, really, I think chromosomes normally disagree with people on that, but hey. But you have that there. People can type in. So if they want to be a sort of half and half and cream or whatever the hell it is, right there, they can put that in there. If they do put that in there, it is going to make reporting a bit of a bugger. So just be careful on that. Having said that, I have met plenty of people who go by the name Sam, and it might either be a Samuel or a Samantha. So yeah, it's handy just to know right there, male or female. Birth date, anniversary date, these two start becoming very important, particularly in loyalty. The loyalty section actually, then you can start going and running promos on those days for those people. The entire idea for that is that, and specifically for that, you can go say, hey, it's your birthday, have a promo, or have a discount, or it's your anniversary, have a discount. We'll get more to that on the promos and discussion side later. Electronic ID, if they have electronic ID, this over here is if you use a mag swipe card for their loyalty, or to bring them up, you can do that here. Phone number, mobile phone number, alternate phone number, fax number, email. Please remember that there are just tons of these things over there, and they match up a lot with the fields that are in your ERP system. I know not every single ERP system is going to have all of this information, but a fair number of ERPs do have this information in. Having said that, the other question I get is does this cater for CRM? Agu, okay. I get this. Can I create a BP as a customer and a vendor? The answer is no. No, they are actually stored as two different things, primarily because this is something that we find is that normally if you go and if you're buying and selling from the same person, normally it's two different accounts, it's two different departments, it's two different people going and dealing with it. If they're small enough that it's the same person, then even so, just having two different accounts just makes it easier to go and understand, hey, this is what I owe on the one hand, this is what I owe, and this is what needs to be owed. And then the actual reconciliation of that happens in the ERP system anyway. Yeah, that's just the way it is. We don't cater for that. It is two separate things according to us. All right, so over here, yeah, please remember you can right-click and you can go do things like change caption. So if you want, particularly for things like, for instance, nickname, which is, it might be a handy field somewhere, but, you know, you can now go change the caption. You can now go change that to something else that you might want to go put in there. It might be customer selection or what, or if you want to go and have customer alternate phone number or something like that, you can put that there. All right, so we have all these over here. The other thing that we do get asked about a lot is, does this have CRM capability? No. Right there, we're not a CRM. Quite deliberately, because they are, to be brutally honest, there are better CRM systems out there. Microsoft Sage has got a good one. Salesforce is up there. You know, and one, they're not particularly expensive, and two, well, some of them aren't particularly expensive. Two, that's not what a retail management system does. We're a retail management system. We integrate through. I mean, I know, for instance, SAP has got some CRM functions in it. That's great. But it's the big thing with CRM is that you're going and you're tracking. You've got different stages of the deal. You know, first meeting, second meeting, notes, activities, stuff like that goes with it. And you know, that's not really what a retail environment's about. A retail environment, you go and you buy something, you walk out, you know, happy days. Loyalty does get into that area, or it does kind of smell like it, but it's not really what we do. It's not really what it does. Loyalty is kind of what happens after the CRM stage of things. So, all right. Primary contact, you can actually have multiple contacts for here, and that includes things like, once again, title, salutation, pager, email, comments, pay on account, pay with credit, you know, date of birth, city of birth, all the rest of it, gender, la la la. It is here. You can have that, so you can have multiple contacts under one account. Billing addresses and shipping addresses, you can have as many of those as you want, you know, as well as selecting a primary address. Are they a loyalty member? Do they get loyalty notifications? Do they get past notifications or not? Do they have a default discount that they get, active, on hold? Do they want marketing? And this is very important when you get to loyalty, because guys, to be honest out there, it used to be back in the day, you would get an email and everyone go, "Oh, I've got an email, let's examine it." And you know, this means that people care. Today we get spammed by so many emails that just, and that's even outside the spam folder. The spam folder just, you know, is a rolling pile of just stuff that you don't even want to look at. Unless you want to go, unless something accidentally got in there, in which case you need to investigate and say, "Oh, well, actually, sorry, I got your thing went to the wrong place." The kind of stuff that you get, and I'm sure you've seen one or two things pop up for me, is it's just stuff that, you know, it's, "Oh, I'll look at that later," or, "Oh, if I've got time, I'll just see what the story is," or, "Oh, this sort of looks what I want." A lot of people are now opting out of marketing, and that's really where this is, you know, they want to opt out. If there is a specific payment type that they want to use, you can put that there as well. Remember, you can add on additional fields. That will appear at the bottom of the over here of the below the addresses. You can put those on as well. You can make them mandatory. Yeah, that's something else. Oh, one other thing I do want to point out is particularly on your barcode resolution order over here, you can't change this. Okay, the fields that are in there, the fields of what we scan and what we look at are what's there. Right, that's the way it works. We don't provide any place where you can go say, "Oh no, I want to look at customer code before product ID." No, we don't apply any, we don't put anything like that into iVend. Yeah, that's just the way it is. And particularly I mentioned that with the UDFs because I have had a case where people say, "Oh no, well I want to be able to scan through on a UDF thing," and that's not really what we do. So comments, yeah, if you want to go, once again, and this is where, once again, we stray into CRM territory, is with comment. It is nice to have, you can have it in here in some ERPs and systems. It does integrate back in. Excuse me. But that's also something that that you can actually go and have set up. I know that we have a series of wellness spas in the Middle East, and what they do is they go and they have is they actually put notes in here. You know, Mrs. Musa goes and likes to have this flavor of tea. And you know, it's she needs to, she wants to go and have her foot rubs, and she wants to start with a foot rub, then she wants to go and have jasmine tea, and then, you know, she wants to go and move on with her move on to whatever it is, and they keep notes about their customers in here like this, which is quite handy because then you can go back and review them, you know, when you pull up the customer information over here at the front of the POS. But once again, it's something that you can go set up over there. Account details. Now, I'm running in a unplugged system, which means that I will actually have some account. I will keep account details here if I do sales. Having said that, the second we plug into a system, we ignore this. We basically, well, we don't ignore it. We just basically pull it from whichever ERP we're plugged into. It's not something that we want really. I think you should be getting the idea by now. iVend City Access, we don't actually really want to deal with the financial side of things. That's why we integrate with great partners, with our ERP partners. They do it far better than we do. They've got the regulations, all the rest of it. we'd rather not even go and start to look at that in any way, shape or form. Okay. Yeah, account details and recovered contacts. So that was the blindingly fast thing that we just had a quick look at for customers. At the same time, we also got customer groups, and now these are typically synchronized through from the ERP as well. Once again, Sage 300 guys, please remember, it's, oh wait, that was customer. No, it was items, not this one. Customer groups, I think it does integrate through customer groups. Please check your local listings for your ERP to go make sure that what integrates through to which field and all the rest of it. But you'll see over here for our customer groups, we do have things like you can set up a default tax code for your customers, and you can also set up whether they are the default customer group. Primarily because if you do have somebody going and entering things in, they can go and they can bring it up on their side. They can go see what, they can just quickly enter it in. They don't need to go think about what they're entering. It'll just get loaded into this group, and then somebody can go move it to a different group afterwards. At the same time, we do also have a button to go bring up discounts. So from date to date, which discount type, amount or percent, and then also a discount amount that you can go enter in here. That's something that you can set up from this side. Okay. All right, customer catalog. This is customer catalog over here. This is also quite nice. It's basically if you want to go display certain items for certain customers under certain codes. Normally, I see this more in a wholesaling environment. Having said that, however, I have seen this happen more, well, not just wholesaling, but I have seen this happen in an industrial environment where, for instance, people were dealing with, say, with selling bearings, for instance, is one of them. You know, you got a major company coming through, they say, well, here are my codes for this, you know, like it or lump it. You know, I don't care if you call this an XYZ, to me it's a 1120. Right, so with this, you can actually go scan in. It'll bring up a 1120, and it'll scan and go say it's an XYZ, and that's it. And it'll sell them, and it'll give them their receipt and their invoice and their specific for their specific layout. I know big companies are like this, and it can be a bit of a pain. I remember one time we had to go and rewrite a layout because these people were billing BMW. BMW rejected their invoice because of the size or because of the font that was used on their layout. Yes, that's correct. When we designed the layout, we used the wrong font. And it wasn't like a funky font like Wingdings. It was Arial. Right? No, they didn't want Arial. They wanted, I think it was Copperplate or something like that. But anyway, fun times in the land of consulting. Yay. Next up, customer printing. Now, this over here is something quite interesting, and we actually have a corresponding one across in inventory called, let me see over here, item printing. And the way that these work is I could go, well, I set up a code. I can go put in some print information. Okay, right there. So, for instance, and this is on the item side, please remember. So I can go say, if I'm selling, for instance, knives, I can print information, go say, caution, knife shop, for instance. So I can also set a print once per item. Is it linked to a specific product or a product group? So I can put that over here. And that also makes it quite nice, particularly if you're dealing and selling things like, for instance, I know electronics is one of the other things. Is you can go say not warranted against lightning strike, which is one of the other ones. Not warranted against power surge. Not, you know, you can put your terms and conditions for each of your products in the actual item printing section here, and then for each of them it will print. So if I bought a knife and a power adapter and a this and a this and a this, it'll come up and go say caution knife at the bottom of the slip, caution knife shop. No returns for underwear after underwear is a non-returnable item. Right there, you know, caution computer not warranty void against lightning strikes for computer. Okay. At the same time, I can also do the same thing for customers. where I can also go say, so for a specific customer group, I might be able to go say, so for instance, like your pensioners, there we go, that's what I'm looking for. I can say for my pensioners customer group, 20% off on on pensioner Tuesdays. You know, something out there I can really start to go promote things with. Next up is, yes, we were actually under business partners, not there. Okay, vendors. Now I did get asked about this yesterday. All right, and we do have some vendor setups in the system, but really, guys, as you can see, this is not much. The entire idea is that with the retail management system, we handle the point of sale and we handle the stock. Okay. To get stock into the system, we have to have vendors. The actual paying of the vendors, the landed costs, all the rest of those wonderful things that have to be dealt with, that's finance. And that's kind of the line that we've drawn, is we don't really want to get into that. So you'll see it goes and it says, say, for instance, vendor group, vendor type, your tax number, USD, your currency, can they sell on all currencies or not, email, web page. It's a very basic list that's here. Shipping, yeah, we got shipping address, billing address, comments, the associated products. Somebody asked me yesterday if it was only associated with one product or can you associate them with multiple products. You can. It's not going to limit you to which products you can and can't sell. That's I know on the item side it only limits, it goes and it looks like it limits you to just one supplier, but over here you can actually link multiple suppliers to multiple products. So, all right, that probably makes it a bit clear, but you can see over here there's really not very much to vendors at all. Okie dokie. Wow, we're really going and flying through this. So, and we've already done that one too. Okay, so I'm going to now go swing across to our upsells. And we can go and have a look over here. And this over here is to go upsell a product. Now, with upselling products, we're kind of heading towards the promotion side of iVend. I do know that some ERPs do cater for this, kind of, but not really everyone. This is more something that you can then go and this is something you can go set up, you can go change, and you can go and adjust as you go along. I'm going to select this iPod Touch over here, and then I'm going to go add in a product. So let's go search, and let's go say the touch case and the touch charger and the memory. Okay, so I've got those over there. I click OK, and with this I can start to go set what and how exactly this goes and fits together. So I've got my items. I can set what types of prices that they are. So if I want to go change the prices, I can go do that. If I want to leave them as system prices, I can. I can also allow for price overrides or not. I can even put discounts on here. And this is where I start to say that it starts to go hit your okay, this is where it starts to go hit your promotional side, because over here you can also do things like auto add to transaction. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go one, and in this case I'm going to have a couple of them. I'll have them auto. I'll have all of them except the last one go and auto add to the transaction. So that's over there. I will go click OK. All right, now that's added in. Now if I come across to the POS, and let's see if this goes and works. Right there, and you go and you see it's automatically added in these two as upsells. However, you'll also go see over here, okay, it hasn't gone and added this in as an upsell product because it's automatically activated for these two. It can go and it can add these in. If I went and I scanned in that last product, let's just go see 100.127. Let's just see if that goes and triggers that. Right. Yeah, you see it's now, because I scanned it in, it's now gone and actually added it in with that 10% discount that I put in for it. that's basically how you can go get these things to automatically load or not. This is quite important because further on when we actually get down to our promotions, the promotions you will see go and they don't automatically add in. They don't auto add to the transaction. That's quite specific because otherwise you end up going and giving away stock that you never knew that you gave away. This over here is quite specific because this is an upsell. It's a case of I buy a phone. Hey sir, would you like a cover? Would you like a screen cover? Would you like a back cover? Would you like a power pack charger, car charger, you know, extra airtime, data, la 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 la. You can go put that in over here, and this auto adds it to there, and it makes it very, very easy to do. So that is now gone and set up in my system. You see, right there, today we got some easy topics. We're steaming along here, steaming, I tell you. Wow, we've already covered the next topic as well. Okay, the next one up is, I'm not going to spend very much time on this at all because, to be very honest, it's about this button panel, which is listed here. To be very honest, we're actually moving more across to your actual designer of your front end, to the POS designer, which this over here, this front end that you see is how iVend for a long time looked. It's not how we go and we look any longer. What instead is, and what we used to do with it is you'd be able to go and design this button panel, you'd be able to design how far out it goes, how much it moves, la la la. To be very honest, we've now moved away from that because we don't want to go, because while this works, you have to admit it also looks pretty plain. Okay, so just coming across over here, administration, system initialization, right there, POS transaction info grid. You'll see there's one over here called quick button panel. We can open that up. And from here you can start to go and adjust how this button panel works. So you can go start to do things like having drill downs. You can go and change what happens over here. You can do things like give it different colors, give it different product images. So for instance, if I went and I tick the product images over here for these ones, it would then go change these to different product images. Yeah, it's here. If you want, you can go and change it and change exactly how these look and how they work. If you want more information, I can give it to you. But to be very honest, for the future, I don't really see this being a heavily used area of iVend, primarily because it's just not something that a lot of people are looking for anymore. And there are other ways that we can go and accomplish this. Once you've created your POS transaction, you can actually go link it through to a retail profile. And let me have a look. That is over here. Now you see, this is how long it's been. I actually need to go and try and remember where this is. And that's over here on the transaction screen settings. So you can actually go set what your quick button panel is. Okay. So beyond that, looking at sneaking a quick little peek at my list of things to do is go and define denomination of currency and foreign currency, which we've done. Clock in and out, and then we're going to have a look at tills, which is something that people will need to go get their heads around, and I can see is probably going to take a fair while for us to just go and cover. Pardon. So let's go and have a look at the clocking system of iVend. Now, the first thing you need to know about the clocking system is you come over here, administration, human resources, employee, go to your employee, and you'll see it goes over there, it says users time clock. Fascinating. Right, cool. So now that we know that it uses time clock, we can actually go along, and I'm just going to go void the sale because we have bigger fish to fry. When you first log in to the POS, it will actually go ask you to clock in. Oh, okay, hang on, we have a question. Do the employees pull from SAP Business One too? From Eric. No. The reason that we don't pull them from SAP Business One is actually pretty simple, is otherwise you're going to get them clogging up Business One. The only thing that we do pull from Business One is the salespeople. attached there. If you go and you tick in over here on your is salesperson, then you can go. Then it will actually be a. Sales. Then it actually loads it as a salesperson in Business One. For most of the other systems, we don't want to actually link these through because, to be very honest, in a lot of cases, you've got a very high employee turnover, particularly on people like cashiers. So I know with payroll system, that's a slightly different thing. I know that's also maybe something we look at further down the line is integration to different payroll systems. But once again, payroll systems. The payroll system market's even worse than the ERP market because every single country, and in fact, sometimes every single state or city even have requirements for payroll, which just go and make it a real headbanger to try and get everything up and running and sorted out. That's your employees over here are set there. Do I want to shut down POS for terminal? No. Okay, so clock in, and then bit of a language thing over here. Break in right there. No, we're not. They're not going to break in anything. They're going on break. So if I go on break, you see it'll go and say I'm now on break. You know, how long have I been open? What have I done? Total working time, which is obviously at the session start time, session break time, and I've now actually gone so far over. It's actually gone and reverted down to 0. Total number of breaks 1. Once I've done that, I can then go break out. Yes, breakouts. Everyone wanting to go do that. Go into there, and then I can clock out at the end of the day. From there, I can also do things like print my session, print my day for my count ups. But we're going to come to that a bit later. So at the moment, I'm back in the session. I can also go and shut down my terminal over here once I've clocked out. Okay, but that actually does go bring me across to the concept of tills. Now, these are called tills are something that is that we really live or die by. This is something that you do know, that you do need to know, you do need to get set up, and you do need to understand. Now, I referred before and before I even get into till management, I referred before to the actual setup of the POS. Right there, the different points of sale, how you set it up, hardware, print profile, all the rest of it. But you'll have a look at is that most of this over here is actually just set for your it's just specifically set for your hardware side and how it responds. Yes, we do have retail profile, but not very much is actually mentioned about the money of the actual point of sale. And that's where the till comes in. Now, you come over here, operations, till management, and you'll see we've got 2 types of till. We've got till and master till. Now, the master till is your template. It should actually say master template, in my opinion, but that's besides the point. And for each, and what this defines is essentially the float for the that each cashier will be using. How many of you are familiar with the concept of the float? Hands up, please. Is a fair number of them. Okay, so I don't think I need to go and explain the concept of the float. If you guys want me to explain it, just type it in the question and I'll try and explain it as best I can. Okay, I'm just putting your hands down. There we go. You see, I have the power. Haha. Okay, but now the thing is that with this, the thing is over here with this is that I can go and put is that I can now go set up the float. And in iVend, we call the float the till. And for each, and you see over here, we generally go and assign it to a user or a team. Now, I've discussed the concept of teams before. That's where you've got multiple people using one till. I see this in like jewelry stores as well as electronic stores. Generally, it's on your high-end valuables that you'll go and you'll get where you don't have, you've got a lot of staff on the floor, but you don't have a lot of people going, and they don't need to be behind a till each and every second of the day. So let's start off with the user one. With user over here, we can then go say who the user is. Okay, so this will be their float that's assigned to them. Can they do self-banking or not? And what we're saying by that is, can they go and do their cash ups and their floats, all the rest of that at the end of the day? Yes or no? A fairly straightforward one. Do we allow a multi-currency float or not? In some, once again, duty-free. Actually, funnily enough, I found out that one of the places that does run our duty-free software is Iraq. Yes, that is correct. Iraq duty-free runs iVend. Yay! And the crowd goes wild. Moving on, the float amount, so what your float is. So you might have a standard float size, you might have a variable float, which we also allow over here. Because if you leave your float at 0 and you go and you put it into the till, it's always going to go say that there's a variance. So if you have a variable float size, then it just goes and says, well, whatever you put in is what you put in. Okay, then you don't have a variance. Also, this float is assigned deliberately to a store. It's this person's at the store. The next interesting thing is that you see it's actually assigned to a POS, but you don't actually need to assign it directly to a physical POS. Okay, and please remember that's the difference between the float and the POS, between the till and the POS. Is that the actual POS is the physical hardware, how it looks, behaves, and reacts. This over here is the money, how the money looks, behaves, and reacts, and what it does for that. And please remember, you could have multiple tills assigned to one POS. They won't all use it at the same time, but if you're doing, say, 2 different shifts, then you might have a case where one person goes on shift, does their stuff, cashes out at the end of the day, next person goes in, uses the same till, and carries on their shift and proceeds onwards. Right. Then we get, so otherwise with the actual POS, you can go with this. If you have no POS assigned, it means that the person quite literally gets their float, walks to any POS in the store, loads up their till, and goes and uses it, and that's theirs for the day until they cash out, and then they move on, which is also part of by design. Questions? Woohoo! Eric, I see you're back. Can you link multiple users to a till? Also, what if users change till each day? Okay, so all right. What you're talking about by can you link multiple users to a till? That's a team. That's exactly it. Is you get multiple people. So multiple people, all part of the same team. So Keith, Eric, Andrew, and Alex are all part of a team. We all use till A. That's it. It does mean that at the end of the day, cash ups should be done together in the presence of the store manager, because that way, it does mean that it is more difficult to go make sure that the counts are done, because somebody goes and says, oh no, I've got to run off, and wanders off, and maybe they pocketed a couple $100. That is something that it does lessen the security in some ways, but it does actually mean that it's more handy, particularly for high value stuff. So that's what some people want. And for the other part of the question is going and allowing it to any store. Well, allowing it to any till in a store, then just, like I said, just don't have a POS assigned to it. And then you can go to any store and, to any point of sale. It'll activate and it'll go say, okay, I'm assigning this till to this POS for today. And if you actually remember, how many of you remember this one, is that if you go to the store, and let's see, ta-da, reassign all tills at end of day. So it'll do that as well. That just makes it, once again, that just makes it easier to go and keep and cover these things. Now, next up is variance rate and variance allowed. So, right, once again, if you've got your variable float ticked, then you're not going to worry so much about variances, because, well, at least variances going and clocking in, variances going and counting out, that's where you are going to start worrying about how much you're going to put in or take out. So how much is allowed? Is a variance allowed? Is it a percentage or an amount? So do you allow, say, a $50 variance, which is probably quite generous. In a lot of places I know they don't allow variance. If it's a variance, then they say, well, then it's coming out of the person's paycheck. Full stop. Doesn't matter. And here now we get to the actual points where we can go and start to do the counting. Now counts can be set on either count on a sign, so this is when you open the till, so when you start the new day. Count required, where's the count required on close? So is it mandatory or optional? I'm going to say that generally if you set it to optional, people just go no. No, couldn't be bothered. It's the end of the day, people want to get home. The last thing that people actually want to do is count money and find out how much they've find out if they've lost any money. But so normally it basically boils down to either mandatory or kind of do you feel like it, or just not required. Mandatory, normally for these things it's mandatory. Count required on remove. These two, count on close and count on remove. You first remove the till, then you close the till, and then you finalize the till, that's the process, which I'll show you in a minute. Count on close, so you can go and set at each of the points. Do you require somebody to count? Typically, you'll only require at one of these points for a count to happen. That's the normal way it is. You can obviously there are some places they go say no, we want a double count, in which case it's fine. Then it's maybe count on remove and count on close, or count on close and count on finalize. That you can go set there. Warning level, warning interval, and lockout level. Now these are quite important because these are these go and determine exactly where your exactly how much and when you need to lock your till. And what I mean by that is it's Black Friday, like we just had down here. People have gone crazy. They've been throwing money at the teller just to go buy stuff. She's now done this, and eventually it gets to a point where, hey, we've got maybe, let's go say 5,000 Rand in the till. Okay, the till's going to pop up and go say, whoa, okay, hang on, wait a minute. There's a lot of money in here. Yeah, it's actually getting to the point where, we're going to need to go take some of this out to carry on. At which point it goes ping and goes and says, we have a problem. The teller goes and says, well, no, we're still busy. So over here I can put in a warning interval. Every 500 more bucks she goes and she gets into the till, it pops up and goes and says, ping, hang on, wait a minute. We're getting full here, come on. We need to go and get, come on, we're filling up to the eyebrows. And then finally, we can actually go say it maybe, let's go say 7,000. It will actually go say, right, that's it. Everybody out of the pool. We need to go cash out this till. This till is full. And it's please remember that these are approximate amounts. It's not like you can go say, well, if you have 100 Rand notes in there, then you need to cash out. Yeah. But by the same time, you could have 1,000 10 Rand notes, and that's just going to go everywhere. Yeah, these are approximate amounts. It's just going to go say, well, you might have 100 Rand or 102 Rand notes in there, and I mean that's going to be 20,000 Rand, but it's not actually going to take up that much space. But the second you start getting down to change, it's going to start taking up a lot of space. So, yeah, active, is the till active or not? That's simple. You can turn these things on and off. Please remember that that you can go set these exactly how you want. So you can turn these on and off as you need them. So a cashier might have a till set up at one store, but then they move on to another store, in which case you can maybe deactivate their one over at the first store and move on. Please remember as well over here when we have a look where it says users. Okay, right. These are actually specific users, employees that we're looking at over here. All right, you can go and change the users in and out as well. These aren't linked to a security user. These are linked to the actual employee. Finally, the one that should probably never be ticked unless it's a one-man band, in which case, in which case the owner and operator of the store is actually the cashier as well, which we do get a couple of small ones like that. In which case but even then, shows you probably never really want to show system count. If you're showing the system count, then the person just goes and says, yeah, sure, we've got, how much does it say again? oh yeah, $524.10. Yeah, sure. Doesn't matter what they count, because nobody's going to go check it until it actually gets deposited in the bank. And at the bank, you go say, what? I'm 10,000. It says over here I'm meant to have 10,000 Rand more, and over here I don't in my bank account. What's going on? So once again, show system count, probably not a good idea to tick. Okay, but the big thing, one of the things about this float, about this till, is that you see over here, this is the basic setup, and this is, what we mean by master till is basically a template. Because from this template, each and every day will be generated a till, and you'll see it's actually linked through to a business day. And for this till, okay, well, I want to view. You can actually go and set, what exactly you want. So this till over here, you can go. This till is specific for today. If you want, you can even do a till count on it. If there is an account if there is a count that you want, and you'll see it's got slightly less functions that you can select. At the same time, this is the actual physical till I'm using at the moment. So this setup over here, I know it's called master till. It shouldn't be called that, like I said. But this is the actual tills right there. It's for that specific day. Yes, I don't want to edit it. I just want to view it. Thank you. This till is the float for today, for this specific day, the 27th. So it's the one that's actually attached through to here. So once I go and let's just go do a quick sale. I'm going to use quick complete cash right there. So that's now gone and done a specific sale over there. Yay, everyone's happened. Cash draw one opened, it printed out. There was much rejoicing in the land. Okay, so now that's actually happened. I can then go and start to have a look at things such as the end of day. But if you just give me a second, I just want to check what's next up on our list to go and actually have a look. And that's actually till assignment, which is also probably a good thing to go and have a look at now. So let's go and have a look at the till. Let's go and have a look at this, which is going and running the day end. Okay. So the day end. So now I've got my tills. They are. Here we go. Till. Yes, still can't edit it. This is now assigned. This is what I'm using. It comes to day end. Now I've got to go and cash up my till. Okay, so I come across to my little iVend logo. I go across to manage tills. Right, and you'll see I've got this till assigned to this POS in this case. Now the first thing that you do have to realize over here is that this up here, cash draw 1, and this cash draw 2 do not tie into these blocks below. This is assigned tills. This is available tills. Cash draw 1 has got nothing to do with available tills. Cash draw 2 has got nothing to do with available tills. Cash draw 1 has got nothing to do with assigned tills. It's a bit of design philosophy that I have an issue with, that I have brought up with the design team that they need to fix. Right. One day they will fix it and I will be happy. But for the moment, this master till is assigned to this cash draw with this user. And you see user or team, user 1. So from here, I can then go say, I want to remove the till. Okay, you see it's moved from assigned tills to available tills. Now, at this particular point, I've just removed the till. That's it. I haven't gone and I've just taken it out. Maybe from here, I can then go across to time clock. I can then go on break. And then once I come back from break, I can go over there, and it'll go ask me, okay, what happened? Okay, I've now come back. I now go and I retrieve my float from the safe. I take it along. I go plug it back into my till. I go say, I want this one, and I'm going to now assign it to that cash draw, and use that. I go and say it's assigned to that cash draw. I then go say I want to use that cash draw, and you'll see us put the till over there. So that's now assigned to that specific cash draw. Okay. What I can do, what happens next is, so that's just for me going and unassigning and removing and assigning the till. That's fine. At the end of the day, I'm actually going to want to go and close the till. So over here, I select the till. I then remove it. Okay. I can then choose to close it. Okay, now normally at that point, when I click close, it would bring up and go and say, do you want to do your count? And you can do your summary count or a detailed count, and from there. But you'll see that it's actually now completely removed. It's now gone. It's vanished, atomized. You cannot bring it back. Once you close the till, it's done. Right. From here, I can then go to, say, my time clock. I can then go clock out. I can then go print my session, print my day, and then shut down terminal. And yeah, that's basically what needs to happen because I've now closed this till. I can't go back. I can't reopen it. Hence the reason that I always recommend remove the till first. Because the one thing that you do need to know is that if we come across to the end of day section here, we've got a couple of steps you can do. Till count is if you want to do a random spot count during the day, but we can actually remove the till from here from the management console side. You can. It's dead straightforward. You can do it. You can remove it, and then the person can then go reassign it. So if the person does get called away, the POS is locked. Nobody knows that person's password. What do they do? Well, it's very simple. They come over here. They remove the till. Okay, the manager can handle that. They can remove the till. They can move on. They can carry on. If the person comes back, fine and great. They can continue on. Over here, but I've removed the till already. But I've removed the till. I've now also closed the till. So if I come over here, you'll see there is no till over here for me to close. I can also close it from this end, from the management console. That's fine. That also works. Please remember, you're not technically meant to go and be removing and closing tills while somebody's maybe halfway through a transaction. Okay, because that's the next thing that I get is, oh no, somebody's, if somebody is in the middle of a transaction, it will actually give you an error. It'll say, cannot remove till, right, there's a sale open at the moment, right, then that's something else that needs to be dealt with. But I've now gone and I've closed my till. Once my tills are closed, I then come to my final step, which is finalizing the till. Yep. We can then, at this point, I can then go, if I want, I can go view the till. I can, if necessary, I could go to a count if it was associated with it. I can just click OK. Over here, it does my final till count if there's any amount that I need to do. And you'll see over there, it's actually going to display my variance in this case. So I've got 49.50, and you see this is, you know, if there was a variance, if there are details that I needed to do there. I can also then just go and click. At the moment, I can't. It's saying that there is a variance and there should be something, but I can't really go and edit it to go say, hey, I want to change it. From here, I can then click OK. And at each of these steps, at remove till, at close till, at finalize till, I can actually enforce that there's a comment and a reason. Please remember, from the retail profile that we're talking about, you can actually go and enforce a comment and a reason code for why this is happening. So, you know, if somebody's short, it goes and says there's a variance, you can say, give us a reason code and a comment. And please remember, your reason code should be detailed enough. Don't just put general. Please don't put a general or miscellaneous reason code or spare reason code or something like that. Everyone will then select that. It's going to just be this desert of random stuff that nobody could. Oh, why is it there? Unknown. Right there. Nobody actually wants to think when they're doing this stuff. No, and definitely nobody wants to own up that they made a mistake. So make sure it's really specific. Make sure that there is something, and then in the comments they can go say, there was this, but we got robbed or something like that. It's true. You know. Okay, variance and till count. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes. Okay, you see over here it's now forcing my comment and reason code, except I haven't forced this. So yeah, if I have a look at reason code, you see I actually don't have any reason codes loaded up. But I can then click OK. Till successfully finalized, master till. Sweet. It's now finalized. It's now done. Right, the till is done. However, I haven't run my end of day yet. You see, each till needs to be finalized. Each till needs to be removed, closed, counted. This is money, guys. I keep, sometimes I get the question, oh, why can't we just select them all and say finalize? Guys, this is money. You know, if the guys are that slapdash about it, then, you know, really, they're not going to be in business that long. Yeah, but, you know, everyone needs to be counted. Everyone needs to be gone through. Everyone needs to be made sure that X, Y, and Z is happening and does happen. And the money's put there, and there is accountability from beginning to end. Finally, though, I come across to my end of day. And at my end of day, I go and I say, what's the current business date, store code, store description, next business day. I've got all that over here. So it's now just, and now the big thing to note is that, okay, and in fact, I have something for you at the end of the screen, but I'll tell you in a second. Current business, so the current business day is there. The store code and store description are perfectly understandable. The next business day, you can actually select which business day you want. Now, I fully understand that worldwide, not everyone is open 365 days a year, 7 days a week, all the rest of it. There are obviously going to be holidays for various reasons, be it religious, be it state holidays, be it, be it personal, whatever the case is. Not every day goes, not every day, particularly in retail, resumes with the next day. So you can actually go say, move it a bit further forward. I could move it to the 29th. I could even move it to today's date of the 30th. You'll see over there it's got a little red box on it. I am actually just going to move it to the 28th primarily because if I need to go run this again or if there's something else, I might need to go and leave that there. The next thing is optimize database, okay, which you can tick. If you tick that, this will take longer because it is optimizing a database, guys. It's that simple. If it optimizes the database, it takes time. Yeah. Okay, once you've done that, you can then click Start. But before I click Start, I'm going to give you guys who've listened to me waffle and prattle on for so long a bonus. So for all the guys who did not go and for all the guys who have not stuck with it so far, they're going to miss out on this. And that is, I'm going to tell you one of the questions in the exam. Do I have your attention now? I will repeat again in case people aren't listening or looking. Right there. I am going to tell you I will tell you one of the questions that is in the exam, and I'm going to tell you for a very specific reason, is that the exam has it wrong. Okay. I know it's in there. I know it's there. It's one of the ones that I need to change. It's also, the problem is that I can't change it. I can have a look at the results. I can't change the damn thing. I've complained about it, but anyway. And that is, there's a question in there that goes and asks you, what can be done at the end of day process? Now, one of the things we used to be able to do over here is to go force an upgrade of the actual system. We no longer do that for very good reasons. Primarily, not everybody's got rights, user issues, all the rest of it. Then it gets stuck, then it needs to be reloaded, then. Anyway, there were problems with it. We don't do that anymore for good reason. Like I said, what we can do now is, so you no longer have got the option to upgrade the database. On the actual question itself, it will ask you, can you upgrade the database? Normally people look at it and go say, hey, Keith said that you can't do that. Or they look over here and say, hey, you can't upgrade the database from here. Very true. Used to be the case that you could. So just watch out for the question. I can guarantee you some of you will get it. Probably about half. Okay, so there's your freebie. Right, we used to be able to upgrade the database. You can now no longer upgrade the database. When it comes to going and marking the exam, I normally look at what people have gone and answered, because there is one very wrong. Well, there is one thing that's definitely wrong, but I will go through and we will go sit down as part of the service that we're doing. Please remember, we are writing the exams next week, Friday. So that is what my little freebie to you guys. We will be, you will probably get the question somewhere, or you may get the question. So just be aware of it. Next one. Hi, Kirsty. Can you, okay, can you hear me now? Okay. Your audio skipped out while you were giving the answer. The answer is basically we no longer do the upgrade of the database over here. The correct, the answer for the question is all of the above. Even though we don't do the upgrade the database thing anymore, right there. And if you guys get that wrong, then just let me know. I will have a look at it, and we will go and sort it out. Okay, all right. So that is something that's over here. I'm not going to try and trick you up on it. It is a trick question. It is a bit of a trick question. So you see, stick with Uncle Keith. He will help you. Okay. I'm not going to start the end of day. It's going to run through updating business day, checking till status. End of day process complete, as I'm sure you can see. Okay, it's now done. It's finished. You can't run that process unless all tills are finalized. Full stop. Okay, if I go back to my till management and I go back to my tills, you'll see there's now a new master till that's here, status new. It hasn't been assigned. At this point, I can actually even delete it if I wanted to. Okay, the end of day closes off the previous day, opens a new day, continues on. What's going to happen now is I'm going to run my point of sale, and okay, see you then, Eric. Okay, Eric, you need to go. You need to dash off. All right, so let's log into point of sale, continue on. And this will go, and this will finish loading up in a second. Log in, yes. And you see over here it's asking me for my time clock. I clock in right there as a cashier. Okay, Peter asks, I may have missed it, but just want to be sure, you run a day in for each store, correct? But do you need to run any major one to finalize all stores? Peter, there's no one to go. It's not like you can do it from enterprise to go say, I want everything will be finalized by now. No. Once again, this is all about accountability. And the big problem is that just running, and this is also the reason that we resist doing a lot of, or we don't really want to do a lot of transactions, stock transactions from the enterprise, is because, quite frankly, people at the enterprise don't know what's going on. They don't know what the thing is on the ground. You might have somebody at the end of the phone going and saying, yeah, I've done all the count up, all the rest of it, yeah, just end it. Yeah. All right. Okay, you know, so that is an issue. You can't just the people at the store are responsible for the store, and they need to be, the store manager needs to manage the store. Like all computer systems, it works in conjunction with people managing it, as opposed to, it's not just going to override people. Okay, second question from Chapile. Right, Keith, can business day be taken a day back in case somebody runs the end of day twice? Not, Chapile, not as far as I know. Not as far as I know. I don't know that you can go take it back. You can backdate it. I don't think you can run it for the same day because all the tills have been finalized for that day. You'd somehow need, yeah, not really that I know of. You can, what could happen is that if you skipped a day, right there, so for instance, if I went from the 27th to the 29th and I didn't do the 28th, I could probably go back and try and run it on the 28th again, but you would have already gone and done the close off on the 29th. So I don't think that would allow you to do it. It's not something, it's not a, if you do encounter something like that, let me know and we'll have a look at it. And we'll see what the story is. Is cashiers clocking in optional, says in Kiru? No. All right, clock in is, if clock in's enabled, it's mandatory. All right. To be very honest, it's incredibly difficult. They need to go press clock in. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Really, if for the 10 seconds of their life to go and actually clock in, I think that they can just survive just clocking in. Really. I don't know why you'd really want to make it optional though. Okay. Though, if you find a case, let me know and we'll work through it. Okay, and there we go. I've now actually gone through and I've now done my day end. If I go across to manage tills, you'll see over there it's got my my cash drawer, my which till ID and which user ID I'm using for it. So that's all set up here. Okay, all right. So screaming along to the next section. Okay, we have now done clock in. We've now done till assignment. Okay, we're going to quickly have a look at going and doing the purchase orders and the GRPO, but then after that I think I'm going to call it a day because basically we've now kind of run through pretty much most of what we can. Let's go and so let's go get that up and running and ready, and we'll go from there. So purchase orders and GRPOs. Now the over here, yeah, like I said, just completed that. Now at the back office side over here in Management Console, we can do certain business transactions. They're lumped under here under this little business transactions tab. And these are things such as goods receipts, purchase orders, goods receipt of the purchase order. These are two different transactions. Stock transfer requests, stock transfer requests received, stock transfer shipments, stock transfer receipts, goods issues, goods returns, kit build and break, which as I described, I think it was yesterday, that kit building, kit breaking is basically a production order, but it's much, 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 much simplified over here. Inventory counting, expenses, there is an expense. In fact, I might just do expenses today because that is very small, very easy, and we can quickly do it. And we'll be, yeah, and we'll be much further along than we'll be catching up with everything. Planning scenarios, forecast planning, forecasting, mobile POS deliveries, location transfers, as well as the POS transaction register. All right, actually, I've got that up and running, which is very, very cool. So next one up is goods receipts. Now, straightforward, you guys should be familiar with goods receipts. Is there anybody who's not familiar with goods receipts? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, you're all familiar with goods receipts. Perfect. So this over here is, this is, you know how a goods receipt works. The only real difference that goes in, that happens over here is we do actually, you can actually do a goods receipt against a business partner, so against a customer or against a vendor. All right. Typically with a goods receipt as well, if you've got locations, it will split it out into locations, and you can then go and do goods receipts on those ones. You can do a goods receipt into a specific location, provided the location is enabled for goods receipt. So you couldn't do a goods receipt, for instance, into a sales location, but you could do a goods receipt into a default or a goods receipt location. Yeah, so you can't just goods receipt into anywhere. It has to be into a specific place. Reference numbers, reasons, events, price list that you're receipting against. The one thing I do want to point out over here, in fact, the 3 things I want to point out over here. First off, when you're adding products, search. Let's go there. Yay, you know, multiple search, shift select, all that's available over here. You can then just go receipt those in. Same thing, you can actually import in a TXT file, which if I go and I have a look over in my, here we go, City Access, iVend Retail, iVend Management Console, import templates, scroll down, goods receipt, there's my goods receipt import template. Well, with a couple of examples, please remember, if you set up an import template, it should be like that, or like that, or like that. Okay, not all together. Okay, so that's how 1 or 2 or 3. It's or, not all together. Okay, when I do the goods receipt, I can then import that in. Once I've imported that in, it then goes and pre-populates, and then I just need to click OK. Once I've clicked OK, I can then also do things like printing labels. And we have a question. What is the difference between a goods receipt from a customer and a customer return? Okay, excellent question, Yusuf. So the difference between a goods receipt of a customer is that I'm over here, when I'm doing a goods receipt, this is just goods coming in from a customer for whatever reason, right? There is no, it's just marked as being from a customer. It's not like there is a financial implication on the customer side. A goods return from a customer, which we would typically handle over here at the front end through our transaction mode, would be a sales refund. Then it's actually a case of there's a financial implication. I have to pay out the guy for whatever it is. There may be, to be very honest, there are some places where I think our developers went a bit nuts. I understand that there are reasons, there are places where you would probably need to go and do a goods receipt against a customer. Could be that you've got, could be that somebody's returning a non-value item, or that there's just, or you're doing a recall, or there's, I don't know, the option is there. And once again, that's the one thing about iVend, we have options. And that's why we have them, is that, so if in the weird world of business, you do run into a situation where you need to have a goods receipt against the customer, you can do it. Doesn't mean you need to do it. All right. Yeah, and I mentioned the print labels. You can then print the labels and they will print off as per normal. Next up is the purchase order. Now, your purchase orders over here, okay, I'm sure everyone's familiar with purchase orders. I'm trying not to go too much into depth on this, aside from pointing out the maybe weird stuff that we do. These purchase orders will integrate back into your ERP system. Okay, so like for instance SAP, you do the purchase order over here, does the purchase order in SAP. You do the goods receipt against the purchase order, it then does the goods receipt against the purchase order in SAP with all the correct linkings, so your relationship map comes up correct. Same thing on the Sage side, same thing on the Nav side, it puts it in and then it's all linked through nicely. I'm just going to go select a vendor, put one in the system, and we have a question right there. Can we define the workflow of orders validation? No. Well, you can probably do it on the Sage side, but not on the iVend side. Guys, if you please remember that when we're going and please remember that when we're doing this, it is built more from a store perspective. We do look, I do get that, you know, on the enterprise side you do want a workflow, you do want to go say it goes from here to be authorized by this department, and maybe if it's got this item it goes to that department for authorization, and you know there's finance needs to approve cover and all the rest of that. That's what an ERP is for. Purchase orders over here, unless you're unless you're sort of a reasonably small local business, I wouldn't really, and there are reasons to have purchase orders at the store, even for large businesses, because there are cases where, hey, it's an emergency, we need toilet paper. It's one of the big ones is, yeah, you know, you're about to run out of tea, milk, coffee, you know, the usual things, you know, that maybe needs to have a purchase order put in and be approved. But at the same time, it's not like it's a hectic approval thing. It's not like you should be running millions of dollars of stuff through here. Excuse me. But that's something that should be but yeah, once again, once it gets to head office, then you can start to go put those workflows in place. Okay, so now PO reference number, whatever that might be, and is there a vendor reference number? So as you see, there's a lot of fields over here, once again, that we can fill, we can change, we can update. Accounting ID if there's one, delivery date, status, is it approved or not? Yeah, so over here, you can actually go say whether these things do get approved. So you can have somebody putting them in, and then somebody needs to come along, and somebody will have authorization to come along, review it, and click approved, and then it moves on. But the big thing is that, once again, it's not a workflow. It's just a yes, approved, or unticked, no, not approved. That's it. Subtotals, tax codes, tax, discount types. The other thing you'll see over here is that we don't do things like landed costs, basically because it's landed costs, guys. I mean, you know, once again, finance function, not iVend, not retail. Tax codes, discount types, surcharges. Well, add it up from here. Totals, reasons, and comments. You can put those in. Here we go. Search. Let's add those ones in because we are going to go put these things through. Add products, delete products. Put a surcharge overall on the on here. So you could theoretically go put in your what's his names here. You could put a surcharge as a landed cost. Yeah, if you want to go that route. I know landed costs are more complex than that, but you can also do that. Discounts, what sort of discounts you want. Totals, reasons, comments, surcharges on the lines, as well as what sort of status it is in. Import file as well. Once again, the import file is a TXT, and you go and you put that in, and then it just works. So all done. For that, we click OK. Want to continue? Yeah, sure, why not? Okay, so that's my purchase order. That's now in the system. Yay, there it is, and it prints it out. Ta-da! Yeah. Please remember, all of these can be customized to go look exactly how you want it. You can remove the lines, add lines, put in reason codes, take them out. If I had a logo in the top corner, you would actually, in the enterprise settings, you would see it appear over there. That is automatic. I just don't have one. Okay, next one up that we just need to, next one, goods receipt the PO, and there are some settings that we did go cover on the, so there are some settings that we did go cover in the enterprise, such as, for instance, being able to under and over receipt, really a goods receipt PO is a goods receipt PO. It's fairly straightforward. You can under over receipt, you can go and change what's put in here. You can also go say which one is which one you want to bring through, which ones you want to change. If I've gone up activated those things, I can actually start to go change totals, change prices, add in items, remove items. Those checkboxes are not ticked on my one at the moment. So actually that might be a good one to just go and show you. We go over here, enterprise, and allow add in items, and for the GRPO allow over receipting in the GRPO. Allow price change while GRPO, I'm going to put that as editable. I go OK. We go over here, and hopefully I don't need to restart the console, but management console. There we go. Select that. All right, then I can start to go and change the quantities. Okay, it hasn't activated the button to go add in new items, but I can do that as well. So that's all available over here. I can go and change, add, part receipt, part whatever I need to do. I can do that through here. That is not a problem. Okay, fairly standard goods receipt to the purchase order. Okay, then finally the contra one, which is the goods issue, which is obviously, yeah, very much the same. Goods issue to customer, goods issue to vendor, which is just two of the differences. Reference numbers, entry date, warehouse location, all the rest of it. Guys, it's a goods issue. If you're familiar with goods receipts, you're familiar with goods issues. All right, goods return. Okay, over here, it's a goods return. Yay! All right. Now that I've thoroughly gone and bored you to death, the final thing I want to show you is the expenses. And the entire idea about an expense is that it's just an expense. You know, hey, we've run out of printing paper. Quick, go get some. All right, there. So I can go put in an amount for that. I can go put in a reason code for what it is. Expense for store. Yeah, please don't have one like that. Please have one that actually goes and says why it's an expense for a store. You know, it's a bit more specific, because otherwise, like the miscellaneous and the optional reason code, it just gets clubbered with everything. As well as a comment, you can go put that in here. We have a question. Yay. Please can numbering be set to be PO or receipt number be automatic? Yes, you can do that. You set that up in your document numbering series that we covered earlier, or covered in a previous session. So yeah, you can set that. That's not a problem. And the document number will go through to your ERP system and be lodged in one of the fields over there, so you will be able to reference it back to the one in iVend. Okay, so you can put an expense through over here. That's fairly straightforward. When you put this expense through, it generally, on the SAP side, it comes through as a service invoice. For the rest of you guys, I think it comes through basically as a non-stock invoice in the way that's appropriate to your ERP system. Okay. Right, so for instance, stage 1, it's basically just an invoice. For X3, you've got options and changes and exactly how it goes and it puts through. For nav, yeah, it's however nav deals with those. Sorry guys, I deal with a lot of your systems, and sometimes they do get a bit mixed up. But the important thing about the expenses is that you don't just do expenses through here. You can also do expenses through your point of sale, which is now where'd that little thing disappear to? Okay, or there you go. Expense. Ta-da! You can do it through here as well. On that note, I'm going to answer a question. Does this expense is linked to the expense of POS? It does. The expense when it's processed will actually be linked through to, it links who did it and what and who put it in. It's not going to go, well, it's not like it goes and it budgets and assigns it against a POS. We don't do any budgeting or stuff like that. It's just a case of, yeah, an expense was put through by this person at this time at this date. And also against which machine. So yeah, it does track it that way, but it's not like you're going to go say, "Ooh, this POS user over here put an expense through for $10. Oh, but this POS user over there put through an expense for $100." Yeah, you could draw the information out if you want, but it's 9 times out of 10, it's you need to be authorized to do it, and well, 9 times out of 10, you need to have the rights to do it in the first place, and if you don't have the rights, then you don't see the button. So. All right, I hope that answers that. And on that note, guys, I'm actually going to go and call it quits for today before I go and yammer on and lose all of you again. So anyway, it's nice to go see you guys going and joining back in. I do have another question. The expense does not show where to choose the GL account. That's very true, Agu. The reason it does not show it over here is it shows it in, you go and you set that up in the actual integration. There is, and for the Sage integration, there is actually a separate panel that appears over here that says Sage integration, that you click on it and it goes and it brings up the Sage integration, and it goes and it actually describes on the X3 side which account is linked through to which code for which place, and you define that over there. The entire idea at the front end over here is we don't want people to go through and say, I wonder which account I should post through to, because that's just a recipe for disaster. We'd much rather have it that's all set up in the background and people just go say, hey, it's thermal paper. Yay. That's it, and it goes through to the right account. Yeah, that's a integration setup. Okay, guys, if there are any other questions, I'm going to give you like 5 or so, I'll give you a moment to just go type those in. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining me again on this wonderful Thursday for another session of me going and waffling on about iVend and all the wonderful things it does, and la 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 la, and how you set it up and where you poke it to go make it do stuff and all the rest of it. But yeah, once again, we are trying to get those. I am trying to get those things up, and people can go see them and play with them and listen to me again, and I don't know, might put them to sleep again. So if you guys have insomnia, then you can go listen to me go and say, oh yes, you go over here and select this item and put that there and all the rest of it. But yeah, so I'm not getting any questions at the moment. Okay, if there's no questions, I'm then going to go and end this session. So thank you very much for joining me, and have a wonderful day, guys, and I'll see you again tomorrow for another exciting episode of iVend Retail. Thanks, guys. Bye.